America's best days are yet to come. That's because conservatives like you know and live the values our great country was built on. The Heritage Foundation exists to make sure your voice is heard in the D.C. swamp each day, shining the light on a bright future. The Heritage Foundation stands for your values and won't give up the fight because they know you never will. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Friday. Ah, boy. 2.5 days ago, Charlie was assassinated, and people are having great difficulty dealing with it still, and I understand it completely. Now, the perpetrator, alleged, turned himself in at the behest of his father, who consulted with a minister. I'm looking at this person. He's 22 years old. The story, at least up to now, is that he wasn't very political until a few years ago, where he became radicalized. Now, here's what we know. And it's very upsetting from USA Today. A former straight-A student. He's a former straight-A student from Utah is accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk with a bullet inscribed with a niche online meme. You know, that he's a fascist, that is, I guess, Charlie. Catch this, things of that sort. Robinson, 22, is accused of shooting Kirk in the neck. It's not yet clear what changed in Robinson's life leading up to the shooting, but family and friends said he had become more political and angry. One of Robinson's high school classmates, a person by the name of Xander Luke, said he was politically active and outspoken about people's rights. The accused shooter thought both political sides were contributing to a country being in a worse place and not improving the world. The quiet street where Robinson lived with his parents is now the subject of intense scrutiny. Officers from the Washington City Police Department kept media and neighbors on the other side of the street. Neighbors were largely tight-lipped about the family. But many of those who spoke with USA Today focused on the family's faith. They are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, whose members are known as Mormons. Well, that's not surprising. We're talking about Utah, after all. And that faith helped lead to Robinson's capture. Authorities tied Robinson to the crime through a review of online messages, interviews with family members and friends, and surveillance video. The messages included some sent on Discord, a popular online chatting platform. In a statement to USA Today, Discord disputed statements that the messages were sent on the chatting platform. The announcement came a day after law enforcement released several images as well as a video showing the gunman's leap from the rooftop. Robinson, who has no criminal history, this guy was a straight-A student, had no criminal history. According to state records, he attended high school in the neighboring city of St. George. We have an affiliate there. He's registered to vote, though he lacks a party affiliation. His parents are registered Republicans. As of 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time today, the Facebook page for Tyler Robinson's mother was filled with celebrations of her son's milestones and accomplishments. The page depicted a tight-knit family where Tyler was the oldest of 3 sons. Longtime neighbor Robert Sylvester told USA Today that the Robinson brothers grew up playing throughout the neighborhood as other kids did, sometimes doing foot races down the residential street. Sylvester described them as quiet. Family is shown on vacations to the Grand Canyon and on outdoor excursions like fishing trips and shooting days. Seemed like a quintessential American family, doesn't it, Mr. Producer? Something went wrong, terribly wrong. I have my own theories, and we'll talk about that. Tyler wore a Trump-related Halloween costume in 2017, according to Amber's Robinson Facebook. In August 2020, Amber Robinson posted what appears to be an ACT college aptitude test score for Tyler, 34 out of 36. That would place him in the top 1% of test takers. According to recent averages, he received a $32,000 scholarship to Utah State University. So he's a very smart kid, straight A kid. Just going through it with you. Kristen Schwerman, who has lived 2 doors down for the last 16 years, said she has known the suspect's family for decades. A head custodian with the Washington County School District, she said she watched the boys grow up, often crossed paths with the family at church and school events. He was always very quiet, had just a few friends, she said. I think he was more on the musical side. Very smart. The eldest Robinson son graduated from Pineview High School in St. George in 2021. According to Amber Robinson's social media and video, the commencement ceremony, but obviously the mother was extremely proud of her children. He then briefly attended Utah State University for 1 semester in 2021, the university said. He later enrolled in the electrical apprenticeship program at Dixie Technical College in St. George. The Utah Board of Higher Education confirmed September 12 that Robinson is a third-year student in the program. But during those recent years, said Governor Cox, Robinson had become more political. At the dinner table before Kirk came to Utah Valley University for the event at which he was killed, Tyler Robinson talked in disparaging terms about the conservative activist, Cox said at the news briefing. Also, Cox said a family member interviewed by authorities referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. Schwerman said she believes social media may have played a role in shaping his views. I want to get to this. This is a big deal. There's just too much hate out there, she said. I know he wasn't taught those things. I have no hate for him, even though I love Charlie Kirk. I'd rather try to understand what was going on in his mind. That online influence seemingly appeared in the messages that authorities allege Robinson inscribed on the ammunition used in the killing. The Mauser 98.30-06 bolt-action rifle, 06. The law enforcement official said was used to kill Kirk had a spent cartridge in the chamber and 3 unfired bullets in its magazine. FBI forensic agents recovered the Mauser in a wooded area behind Utah Valley University's Luce building, which, from which the fatal shot was fired. The fired casing, according to Cox, read, "Notices, bulges, OWO, what's this?" The phrase references an internet meme tied to animated videos in Fury culture. OWO references an emotional, and what's this denotes cuteness or curiosity. It's frequently referenced by video game streamers. One of the unfired casings, according to Cox, said, "Oh, Bella, chow, chow, chow." The lyrics reference the anthem of the anti-fascist Italian resistance during World War II. Cox said another read, "Hey, fascist, catch." The casing also had a series of arrows that pointed up, right, down, 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 in apparent reference to a cooperative shooter video game called Helldivers 2. The input is the code for an airstrike. It is morphed into a meme and is used to imply a devastating reaction to something that should be destroyed. Looks like online and videos, Mr. Producer. Luke, the high school classmate, described Robinson as deeply ingrained in internet and meme culture and said the reported engravings on shell casings came as no surprise. Tom Chittum, a former ATF associate deputy director, told USA that the rifle is a common hunting caliber. Looks like the state may seek the death penalty, probably will. The feds probably will. I would caution on the federal side, if a Democrat's elected president, these cases go on, these capital cases, for years, they may waive the death penalty. So the action with respect to that kind of a penalty really needs to be in the state. I'm not saying that they can't charge in the Trump Justice Department seeking the death penalty. What I am saying is if a Democrat's elected, I guarantee you they will waive the death penalty. But in the state of Utah, I feel fairly confident that would never happen, even if it could. When we return, I want to comment on these influences. Because people say, what can we do? What can we do? There's no one answer to this. There's no one culprit to this. But there is a culprit. Somehow it needs to be addressed. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. I'm going to develop this a little bit after the break. I was invited on with, what was the show? America Reports. I apologize. Sandra Smith and John Roberts. Let me tell you something. Those two are class acts. They are fantastic. Martha McCullum's fantastic. You know, I can go on and on, but they are just fantastic. They had asked me to come on, and I did. And I addressed some of this, and I could tell even before I had the information about what was influencing him, there was some indication. So here you have a straight-A student who gets a top score on these on this ACT ACT exam, which is not easy, top 1%, raised by a Republican family, a good family, in a middle-class neighborhood, quiet kid, kind of nerdy kid, but then on the other hand, he did like, to sport around in the neighborhood. with his younger siblings. And then something happens, something breaks. Now, this is all we know right now. So I'm going based on what we know. If there's more, don't hold me to it. I'm just basing it on what's being provided to us as the public. But this scenario, as is, something happened. Only in a few years' time. It became very political, they say. It's not so much, in my view, that it became political. It became radicalized. On the left. Radicalized. And then became violent. Had no criminal record. There was no evidence of violence whatsoever. None. None. But now we know there was some social media involvement. Social media involvement. I want to encourage you to do something. You don't have to do it right now, but at some point, tonight or over the weekend, I want to encourage you to look at the comments on my social media site prior to Wednesday, prior to the passing of Charlie. I want you to look at them whenever I post anything on Israel or Hamas, I want you to look on there and see how poisonous this is. How totally poisonous this is. Now, it's people in the country, yes. It's also bots, it's also foreign governments, but there's a whole panoply, a whole mixture that kind of aggregates together. And it's a whole world, isn't it, Mr. Producer? People who hang on the internet morning, noon, and night. Many of them young people. People who feel free to say anything, do anything, without any moral compunction. Because what's the big deal? Can't be seen. Most people don't know who they are. Come up with a fictitious name. Your identity is secure. And then you have, well, I'm kind of touching on it, so I will continue. Then you have these other entities, these boards, these message boards. Some of them are public, some of them are private. So in addition to these social media threads I'm talking about, you have these boards, and people go into these boards, mostly with like-minded people, and they work themselves into a frenzy. And they reinforce their views. There's no intervention of any kind. None. No intervention of any kind. It becomes the social community for many of these young people, and older people too, but I'm talking about what happens to a young kid where something like this takes place. They're isolated in this so-called social community. They're isolated in it. And it's reinforced, and it's reinforced, and it's reinforced. And it's more than this. When we come back, I'll explain in more detail by playing you what I said on Fox just a few hours back. We'll be right back. We're coming upon the 250th birthday of the United States, and it has me thinking, what will America look like 250 years from now? My friends at the Heritage Foundation want to know what you think. What policies should America prioritize? What principles should carry us into the decades ahead? As America enters a new golden age, Heritage recognizes that this is the time to take stock and to be intentional about how we shape the future of America. And they can't do it without your input. So please go to heritage.org/LEVIN and let them know what you think is important. Without patriots like you stepping up and speaking up for what you believe in, America as we know it can't survive for another 250 years. Please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/LEVIN. Take the survey on America's future future. This survey takes less than 10 minutes to complete, but it is critical for making sure that the America we pass on to future generations is an America we're proud of. Go to heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Defending the red, white, and blue. Join Mark Levin at 877-381-3811.
All right, Mr. Producer, I forget the cut numbers. What were they, 3 and 4? 7 and 8. I was close. I want to answer this issue. I'm very proud of being associated with Fox. These hosts are fantastic. They're just fantastic. And they ask the right questions. And so I want to play this for you, not because it's me. Ladies and gentlemen, I could play that stuff all day long because I think it's pertinent. Go ahead, please. First of all, John, I don't blame you for struggling, trying to figure out what kind of security would protect. If people want to kill you, they're going to kill you. I don't care how much security you have. It is a horrible, horrible thing, and that's a fact. That's number one. Number two, Sandra, you ask a very good question. What is happening? I think a couple of things are happening if we have the strength to point them out. Number one, we have a Marxist Islamist movement in this country. You have two individuals you just showed, Omar and this guy Hassan, who are filled with hate, just contempt. People need to understand, we're not talking about the left and liberals and progressives anymore. That's not what's going on in our colleges and universities. That's not what's going on our streets. That's not what's going on when we're trying to deport certain of these individuals. We have influence in our faculty, influence in our colleges and universities, influence now in our public schools of alien ideologies. Now, Marxism preaches violent revolution. Islam, I'm not talking about Muslims. Radical Islam preaches violent revolution. They are absolutely, they don't match up with our history, with our system, with the Enlightenment and so forth. Charlie knew this. I know it. People who think this through understand it. So we're not having debates about little policy issues and so we're having debates over the founding. We're having debates whether the Constitution is legitimate. Yeah. We're having cheap politicians talking about our rights come from government and not from God. You have a billionaire Pritzker. I don't care how many billions he inherited. He's a cheap $2 politician no matter what. Those are guys like that. But we have movements taking place in our country, real movements to overthrow the West, to change our governing system, to undermine our constitutional system. It's taking place in our schools, in our universities, in the public square. That is a big, big problem. It's a war on the civil society. Number two, social media. Social media is a swamp, particularly this. You have social media boards. You have these communication boards. Some of them are private. So what happens? People work each other up. They have their own immoral system, their own belief system. There's no intervention by somebody who's rational. They work each other up into a frenzy. Their reality becomes their reality. And so it's a totally different social menu that they're involved in because they sit on them all day long. A lot of them are young people. They communicate with each other and they build up this hate. If you look at social media, at these comment threads, I mean, you should see the comment threads on me, the stuff they call me because I'm a Jew, and they go on and on and on. And so it's almost like the Stockholm Syndrome where they're just thinking this way, thinking this way, thinking this way, and there's no intervention. So that, to me, is problem number two, and I'm sure there's a bunch more. One last thing, a footnote. I don't mean to filibuster. I really don't. Federal death penalty. You can ask my brother, John Yoo. The state death penalty is more important because if a Democrat administration comes in, they will waive the death penalty, just like Biden waived the death penalty. So the state, Utah, is crucial.
Going back to what you were saying about social media, I mean, I am amazed that people out there who nobody knows feel some compunction to share their hateful views on social media. And it is interesting to watch, I don't want to say to a person, but many of them blow up their careers, including all of these teachers that we were talking about just a short time ago. But it's also people who are well known. this from Stephen King today, the famous horror author, who said, "I apologize for saying Charlie Kirk advocated stoning gays. What he actually demonstrated was how some people cherry pick biblical passages." Those are two very, very different things. And then the New York Times, with this correction: an earlier version of this article described incorrectly an anti-Semitic statement that Charlie Kirk had made on an episode of his podcast. He was quoting a statement from a post on social media and went on to critique it. It was not his own statement. People aren't doing any research.
Well, that's that. Look,
they're just, it's like they're just saying whatever pops into their mind.
You're 100% right. And if you really look at the history of the New York Times, like I've written about, I've studied, it is a horrendous corporation. It is a horrendous corporation, from slavery to segregation, to the Holocaust that it covered up, to the promotion of Hamas's data right now, to what it's doing, the idea that this is the paper of record. This is a disgusting corporation, and it's been on the wrong side of every major event in world history. The fact of the matter is, the media do play a role. And they play a very bad role, because the reason Pritzker does what he does is so the media repeats it. The reason AOC isn't anybody, and she's really a nobody, is because the media loves her. You look at some of these Sunday shows, you look at the guests, and you ask, why are they picking that person? Why are they picking that person? Because they're outrageous? Because they are irresponsible? Because they will call Donald Trump Hitler? So we'll bring him on. We've had 2 assassination attempts against Donald Trump, for God's sake. They just assassinated Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Do you see, John or Sandra, any change whatsoever?
Nope.
On the immediate horizon? Nope. I see none.
No.
None.
None.
It's unbelievable. I'm back live. So as you can see, that's my view. I think the internet, for those of us who are normally responsible, is perfectly fine. But I think it is also a place where the truly horrendous among us exploit young people. Exploit them. They go into these, I'll call them rooms or whatever they are, private chat rooms, or they create a whole thread of comments on a post that are vulgar and sickening and so forth. And I think when you have families that are trying to raise their kids properly, take them to church, take them to synagogue, have wonderful times with them, especially in the weekend time or dinner time or breakfast time, try to inculcate your children with all the best things. And then you find all of a sudden they start to doubt you. All of a sudden they start to attack you verbally or whatever they do. All of a sudden they have this ideology that you reject completely, or they reject your faith, or they reject what you've taught them. And you went, what the hell's going on here? These are evil forces, and they do exist. They're out of our control. If you have a kid with an iPhone or the equivalent, you can't be on top of them all the time. And once they hit 18, there's nothing you can do about it. They're majority. And certainly by the time they hit 21. And this kid was 22. Kid, whatever you want to say. You get my point. Now, you may say, well, the parents should have seen. Well, maybe they saw something. Maybe they saw that he was acting up. Maybe they saw, wow, he's into all this left-wing crap and so forth and so on. We all have relatives like this, do we not, Mr. Producer? We all have seen something like this. But that doesn't mean they're going to go on a roof with a rifle, a high-powered rifle, and execute somebody. But their minds are being poisoned. They're being poisoned because there is no adult supervision. They're in these, and I've never been to any of these things. I was talking about it with a friend today who was educating me about it. They're in these boards. Is that what they call them, Rich? They're in these boards. Chat boards. They're in these chat boards. And they're reinforcing each other, and they're and then evil becomes righteous. Now, there's more than this, of course. We have politicians in this country. I wrote a book called The Democrat Party Hates America. I meant it. All the most horrendous events that have occurred in this country, they've been on the wrong side. Not just on the wrong side, slavery, segregation, just like the New York Times. Eugenics, Jim Crow, Hamas. Look at the people in the media now. You have true racists and bigots who are given platforms to trash America. You have Islamists. And many of these people are podcasters. Or they have subscription services. That's all it takes, you know. There's no filter. None. None. And I don't even know how to begin to fix it, but I do think we begin by addressing it. And so when you hear politicians constantly using the word Hitler or dictatorship or they're destroying our democracy and so forth and so on, the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, that's what the Marxists and the Islamists do want to do. That's what they believe. That's what they preach. You and I, we want to defend the Western world, the Western culture, our institutions. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. Well, Mr. Producer, I have to, what the hell is wrong? Hold on, America. I'm trying to find something here. It's one of those days. What is this? I'm still digging up stuff that's coming out on the Kirk murder, ladies and gentlemen. So, here we go. First of all, I want you to know that tomorrow night's show on Life, Liberty, and Levin is all Charlie Kirk. Not people talking about Charlie Kirk, which is great. Don't get me wrong. Not guests. It's Charlie Kirk talking. March 2020, when he was 26 years old. All Charlie Kirk. I want people to remember what a brilliant young man this was. I know we can go through all the haters and all the rest. I really want to try and avoid this. It can't be totally avoided. And by the way, my buddy Stephen A. Smith, he sent me his commentary on this. I really want you to listen to it. I posted it. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You know, Stephen A. and I have one thing in common, passion. Well, we have much more than that in common, but that's clearly one of them. I really want you to check out what he had to say. I agree with every damn word of it. I think I heard every damn word of it. But I do. So Saturday really is a special program. Watch if you wish. Don't have to watch. If you want to watch college football, I would encourage you to DVR the program because it's Charlie Kirk in his own words. Thinking process, his knowledge, all of it. Then on Sunday, we're going to have our dear friend Katie Pavlich on, who came out of sort of the same youth movement and was involved in it as Charlie was very close to him. And we're going to have Zuhdi Jasser on also to talk about Qatar's role in 9/11. That's Sunday. I've got a number of friends who were touched by this. Steve Dace is a great guy at Blaze. And he and Charlie were commiserating, he informs me, on how to fight anti-Semitism. Neither of whom are Jewish. I have another friend, Josh Hammer, who is Jewish. And he told me a day or two before Charlie was assassinated, Charlie was consulting him on the best way to deal with the attacks on the state of Israel. The ambassador to Israel, who lost his son in the war in Gaza, his eldest son, early on, it was at the first or second day of the war. Ambassador Leitner, beautiful man. He was in touch, and Charlie was in touch with him on the best ways to discuss the state of Israel. He is very worried about the rise in anti-Semitism. And the Prime Minister of Israel went on Fox several times. In May, he received a 7-page letter from Charlie about the need to defend Israel on our college campuses and generally, and their Prime Minister had indicated that he had just invited Charlie to come to Israel. And Charlie had been to Israel, by the way. But obviously, he was assassinated. We discussed it, too, especially my wife, Charlie, and Charlie's right-hand man. It's my understanding Charlie also told the president of the White House that there's an issue here with anti-Semitism on the college campuses, and we got to figure out how to fight this. Because Charlie was a man of deep faith. He believed so thoroughly in his Christian faith in Jesus Christ and the words in the Bible about the Jews. And he fought the anti-Semites at Oxford. And he fought the anti-Semites on college campuses. He's honored in the state of Israel, where they're mourning his death as well. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Welcome, America. I'm going to post now what I'm told from a pretty good authority, I hope it's accurate, that Charlie was working on a book, Mr. Producer. And we're going to post it right now. I don't think I'm being thrown a curveball here, but I'm going to post it. It looks like a beautiful book, beautiful cover. Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. And Charlie talked about this. That he puts down his iPhone, his laptop, everything, all work, from Friday sundown to Sunday a.m. Now, that's the Sabbath. That's the ancient Sabbath. That's the Jewish Sabbath. Pretty much. All family. He said the Jews had it right for over 4,000 years. He said Dennis Prager taught him that. Dennis Prager. My wife just sent me a photo. I'm going to ask Mr. Producer to post it. This is one of those Salem events at KRLA, our LA affiliate. And we used to sit on the stage. And you will see on the stage, from right to left, Dennis Prager, Sebastian Gorka, Charlie Kirk, and then me. And as I look at this photograph, the four of us, it's so damn heartbreaking. Dennis Prager had a horrendous accident. Paralyzed in most of his body. And Charlie assassinated. And Charlie assassinated. Assassinated. How does it even work in the same sentence? Now, this photo shows us pretty far apart, but in other years we would sit right next to each other. And Charlie would always sit right next to me. For two reasons. You want to know the truth? One, I couldn't hear that well, and I would say, Charlie, what did he say? And Charlie said, he said this, this, and this. And the other reason was we would kind of crack jokes to each other. He flew in from Phoenix. I flew in from Virginia. So I'm going to post this photo at the break. And this is a Salem event. As these photos pop up, my wife sends them to me. We have so many photos of so many things. I'm told on exceptionally good authority that Erica Kirk is horribly devastated. Mr. Producer, do you know that she and the babies were there? Apparently so. That's the reporting. God, I hope I'm wrong. I want to tell you folks something. My wife had called me. I was at home in a meeting. And she called and I said, well, I'm glad you called. I want to tell you. She said, no, you got to listen. I said, no, you have to listen. I said, what? Charlie Kirk was shot. I said, what? It's like, what? What? I'm sure it went through all of your minds. Like, what the hell? Charlie Kirk was shot? Our Charlie Kirk? And it would be much later that we learned he was fatally shot, although there was that video out there that showed graphically what took place. I can't look at videos like that, and I did not. But it popped up on my wife's screen, and she looked, and she lost it a little bit. We know him. That shot in the neck was intended to hit that artery, the carotid artery. And apparently it had its intention, which was for him to bleed out very quickly and die very quickly. I understand he had his right hand and grabbed the left side of his neck and then fell over to the left. Honestly, I don't want to see it. The video of that killer who reached over that little Ukrainian girl, what did she weigh, 90 pounds? I don't know. And stabbed her to death. I couldn't watch that either. I just can't watch these things. Turns out the president can't watch them either. He didn't watch either of those, but he did watch that 40-some second video of October 7th, what was done to those young people. I want you to think about that. These people were in their 20s. 20s. And thousands of Hamas terrorists clad in black descend upon them. Imagine how unimaginable it is. Start executing them as they run or beg for their lives. Grab the girls, immediately start raping them, gang raping them, cutting off their breasts, decapitating them. Now you understand this festival was really a festival of people coming to dance and sing about peace. Peace. There were 2,000 to 3,000 people in that crowd in Utah who saw Charlie murdered. Not that they all knew that he was murdered, but they saw the event, certainly heard it. There were about 2,000 people at that festival. $1,200 of them didn't make it, Mr. Producer. Now, I want you to think about that. We're surrounded by this evil. Surrounded by it. It's so horrible. You know, people say time makes it easier. When you lose somebody you love in your family or a friend, I don't think time makes it easier. I really don't. I think time makes living bearable. Bearable. If you lose a child or a spouse, you know, we're not talking about a car accident here. We're talking about an execution. A violent assassination. Now, this 22-year-old didn't know Charlie Kirk. He didn't know his wife, didn't know his kids, really knew nothing about him. He only knew what he was reading on the internet. He only knew what people were saying about him. The most horrible things. I mean, I got to tell you, folks, I read things that are said about me on Wikipedia. I say, that's not me. Who the hell? I tell my kids, don't read Wikipedia. I don't know. They're taking everything out of context. They're writing the most horrible things. My wife looks at the comments online. I said, please, don't look at the comments. Don't look at the comments. Just don't. And yet, a lot of people's understanding of people, of other people, or things, is that are gleaned that way. When these cheap politicians ran around and called Trump Hitler and things of that sort, and you have people out there who don't know him and don't know better and really don't sit down and read his policies and understand what he's really trying to do, that sticks in their head. And if it's Hitler, that pretty much justifies anything, doesn't it, Mr. Producer? These are grown adults elected to public office or serving as professors or actors and actresses on Hollywood that can affect the culture and media types and so forth and so on. They all do it. They all do it. The Democrat Party is a violent party. It has been a violent party. The Democrat Party was the party of the Confederacy. It is a violent history. The Democrat Party was the party of slavery, horrendous, brutal slavery, and fought a civil war to retain it. The Democrat Party is the party of segregation. Separate but equal is equal. Water fountains, bathrooms, buses, segregated. Schools, segregated. Not even that long ago, by the way. The Democrat Party is the party, oddly enough, that also embraces Marxism, violent Marxism that seeks the destruction of the nuclear family, the destruction of constitutional government, the destruction of voting. Marxists. And now Islamists. Radical Islamists who seek to impose Sharia law, if by the back door, so be it, destroy our institutions, our culture, and impose their will on this country, whether we like it or not. Utterly incompatible with Americanism. And they're violent. Look around the world. Marxists, they're violent. Now, the Klan's violent. The neo-Nazis are violent. People who are not mentally right, they're violent. There's other people who are violent, but not violent as part of a philosophy, not violent as part of a belief system, value system, moral system. That's not you and me. We don't seek to overthrow the government of the United States. We don't seek to replace our economic system. We don't seek to control people's minds. We debate them, the First Amendment. They do. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
When was the last time you bragged about your wireless company? Like, did you know my wireless company gave away 1,000 American flags to deserving vets and forgave $10 million in veteran debt? Did you know my wireless company raised almost $500,000 to help prevent veteran suicide? In other words, when your wireless company is Pure Talk, there's a whole lot to brag about. You can even brag about the coverage you get with Pure Talk, a 5G network that is insanely fast, dependable, and secure. And you can definitely brag about how much money you save with Pure Talk. Unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Just $25 a month, saving the average family over $1,000 a year. It's time to switch to my favorite wireless company, Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin and save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, puretalk.com/LEVIN. Make the switch today. Pure Talk, wireless worth bragging about. Okay, let us move on to, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to read about that, to be perfectly honest. Rich, that one you sent me, I don't know. Yeah, I just want you to know about the Iranian regime that I've been despising all these decades and have told you about. Our friends at Breitbart, Francis Martel, the Iranian government website Press TV, owned by the Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, published multiple screeds insulting slain conservative commentator Charlie Kirk on Wednesday, mere hours after an assassin ended his life. Charlie, the founder, as you know, of Turning Point USA, had been engaged in a tour of American college campuses. And let's see here. Press TV, the Iranian official TV, referred to Kirk as a radically conservative close ally of U.S. President Donald Trump and a genocide denier for refusing to condemn Israel's ongoing war against the genocidal terrorist organization Hamas, which Iran bankrolls to the tune of $100 million a year, and Qatar bankrolls even more. Tehran regularly accuses Israel. By the way, apparently Erica Kirk is going to make a statement, a public statement soon. As soon as that happens, we will go right to that, Mr. Producer. 8:15. We'll do what we need to do here. Tehran regularly accuses Israel of engaging in genocide by targeting Hamas terrorist leaders and destroying terrorist infrastructure and so forth. In its initial report on the murder of Charlie, Iran Press TV described Kirk falsely as having an extreme right-wing lean. Now, if that's not the kettle calling the pot black, I don't know what is. Claimed that his well-attended Utah Valley University event had triggered heavy backlash. Triggered no backlash. Just the usual letter writers. His death came amid widespread domestic and international resentment at Trump's, this is the Iranians, conservative arbitrary policies. No evidence of this alleged resentment. The Iranian Press TV, published a separate article Thursday, 24th anniversary of the jihadist terrorist attack on 9/11, virulently disparaging Kirk, falsely referring to him as one of the most controversial and divisive conservative voices in the United States. Sounds like Omar. He claimed that Kirk espoused a venomous and deeply problematic brand of politics and willingly made himself a conduit for the most extreme elements of the American right. In other words, he was a mouthpiece for the Zionists and on and on and on. There's Iran. Now compare that to the Prime Minister of Israel, with nothing of beautiful things to say about him. When was the last time you bragged about your wireless company? Like, did you know my wireless company gave away 1,000 American flags to deserving vets and forgave $10 million in veteran debt? Did you know my wireless company raised almost $500,000 to help prevent veteran suicide? In other words, when your wireless company is Pure Talk, there's a whole lot to brag about. You can even brag about the coverage you get with Pure Talk, a 5G network that is insanely fast, dependable, and secure. And you can definitely brag about how much money you save with Pure Talk. Unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Just $25 a month, saving the average family over $1,000 a year. It's time to switch to my favorite wireless company, Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin and save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, puretalk.com/LEVIN. Make the switch today. Pure Talk. Wireless worth bragging about.
Mark Levin, radio's hell-raising intellectual. Call now, 877-381-3811.
There's not an Arab country in the Middle East that has commented in a positive way, or some of them just not at all, about Charlie. The Prime Minister of Israel has been all over Fox and Newsmax and other places doing exactly that. And I had no idea his government had reached out, and Charlie to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister reached back. The ambassador reached out to Charlie, and he reached out to them. And Charlie was consulting friends of mine like Josh Hammer and Steve Dace and others. And, there was a couple of week period where Charlie and I disagreed on the bombing of the nuclear sites. He was of two minds. He wasn't 100% sure either way, quite frankly. And after the president hit those nuclear sites successfully, he texted my wife and me, and he said, okay, we're still friends, right? We're still together. I said, of course we are. But that's the way it was. Did I ever tell you that, Rich? I told you that, right? I went back and looked at it on my... And again, the last time I saw him was when I was at Fox headquarters in New York with On Power. And there's a section of On Power in there that really kind of talks about what took place here. Obviously, I didn't know in advance, but the language, the violence, the ideology, it's all right there. And I'm sorry to say, it all happened. It all happened. Erica Kirk is expected to say something 8:15 Eastern Time, and we will cover it here, of course. Well, Turning Point USA put out a video today. These are young people, too, and their lives have been rocked, shaken to the core. I'm sure they're wondering about the future. Some people are thinking that Erica Kirk will carry on. She has 2 little kids. Whatever she decides to do will be the right decision, whatever it is. But I want you to take a listen to this. It's a video, but obviously it's accompanied with the audio. Cut 1, go.
We're active in about 15 campuses, and we're growing very, very quickly. And keep in mind, this is not just a flash in the pan movement. We're going to become an institution to give them the power and the confidence to stand up and let their voice be heard. I started this organization when I was 18 years old. I decided not to go to college. I didn't get in my dream school, which was the United States Military Academy at West Point. I have this idea to galvanize and motivate the future youth of this country around a core set of ideas, not just political parties or politicians. And the ideas are really America's the greatest country in the history of the world. Constitution is the greatest political document ever written, and free enterprise is the most assured way to lift people out of poverty and create prosperity for all. Those are the 3 big ideas. And I think that's something that can win. We as Christians are called to go in.
My angle, except for myself and our children, and the sacrifices that he made this year, he's amazing. I'm very blessed.
And I would not have been able to do any of it without Erica. And that's the real truth. I'll tell you what. You are here as a grassroots response to the top-down revolution happening in this country. I want our Turning Point USA students to receive a round of applause. These are the freedom fighters of America.
And the media said that Turning Point could never run a ground game. They weren't experienced. They didn't know Charlie, right?
This is the greatest generational realignment since Woodstock. This generation is the most conservative generation that we have seen in well over 50 years, and the numbers show it. What young people especially are screaming at is they say, give me a structure that I can live my life by. And especially with young men, more challenging of them, more saying, you know what, honestly, I'm not going to talk down to you. Stop being a boy and become a man. You want to learn what that means? Come to church and I'll tell you what it means to become a man. Because we have the greatest story ever told. What can I do to save the country? You answer that question every single day, because you are doing the work to save this beautiful republic. You are doing something that is bigger than you.
If everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing is my faith.
That is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I want to thank the folks at Turning Point USA for making that available. Now you can support Turning Point USA. I believe there's also a GoFundMe site, is there not, Mr. Producer, to help the family? We'll check it out and let you know. I also know that there's others out there who are going to do things on behalf of the family. Some friends of mine. Some you know, some you don't. Then there's Representative Ilhan Omar and Mehdi Hassan. These are 2 Jew-hating, in my view, Christian-hating Islamists. One in Congress, one on a social media platform. Mehdi used to work at MSNBC. An old video was found of him where his hate for Jews was just spilling out of his mouth. It's my view that they hate the country. You cannot be radical Islamists and love America. They're just two completely different belief systems. I'm not talking about Muslims. Zuhdi Jasser is a Muslim. The assistant manager at my bank is a Muslim. These are fantastic people who despise the Islamists, despise them more than I do. Omar's an Islamist. Hassan's an Islamist. If you want to go online and watch Douglas Murray kick Hassan's ass, just eviscerates him. Eviscerates him. And he's not the only one. Let's take a listen. Charlie just was assassinated. Just assassinated. Cut 13, go.
In this environment, why would you take away Secret Service protection from the former vice president? Trump happily pulled protection from Harris and, I believe, from people like John Bolton, who I'm not a fan of, but I don't want to see John Bolton killed. He's pulled protection from a lot of people he doesn't like. Doesn't sound like someone taking political violence that seriously when it's people he doesn't like.
No, I mean, and that's the thing.
Let's stop a minute, because an ex-vice president normally doesn't get Secret Service protection. Biden gave her that on the way out the door. And obviously an ex-NSC advisor who's using classified information to write books and so forth and so on, same there. So the fact that they had these protections were extraordinary. I'm just giving you the facts. Make your own conclusion. Go ahead.
Never willing or care to worry about when, it's those of us on the other side of the aisle that are getting death threats, that have had their houses shot up, that have had, people show up to their homes. They're willing to actually take away the security and the safety of people like VP Harris because they don't mind. They don't mind her getting killed.
See, they don't mind her being killed. I mind her being killed. I would be disgusted and appalled and upset about it. See, this woman doesn't know me. She doesn't know you. We have a totally different mindset here. Totally. Completely. That's just appalling. Horrendous. Cut 14, go.
The answer is not to allow the hateful rhetoric to find the audience that it finds. I mean, one of Charlie's last tweets that I read was a video clip of him. I think in that clip he talked about you and said, Muslims are like bringing an ideology and teaming up with trans and like socialists to bring about the end of Western civilization.
But he's right. Read the literature. And she knows he's right. And this Hassan knows he's right. They reject Western civilization. That's what Islamists do. They reject the idea of Muslim reformers. Muslim reformers. They reject it. These are extremists. These are radicals. She is. He is. This Mehdi. They're anti-Semites. They're anti-Americans. They'll trash the Constitution. They'll trash the founding. They'll trash the founders. That's what the Marxists and the Islamists do. Boy, if they hate him, I'm the one that developed the concept of this fusion between the Marxists and the Islamists, and tell the nation about it virtually every damn night. Because it's a threat to our country. Go ahead.
When you make a statement like that, then you are saying, find every Muslim. You can...
He didn't say every Muslim. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. Go ahead.
Country and make sure that they are no longer a threat, which is calling for our extinction.
He didn't call for your extinction. You're a liar. You're a liar. You are grotesque. and the House of Representatives didn't have the guts to pass the proper resolution to condemn you for the cancer that you are. And same with this jackass Mehdi Hassan. Of course Charlie was right about both of you. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
When was the last time you bragged about your wireless company? Like, did you know my wireless company gave away 1,000 American flags to deserving vets and forgave $10 million in veteran debt? Did you know my wireless company raised almost $500,000 to help prevent veteran suicide? In other words, when your wireless company is Pure Talk, there's a whole lot to brag about. You can even brag about the coverage you get with Pure Talk, a 5G network that is insanely fast, dependable, and secure. And you can definitely brag about how much money you save with Pure Talk. Unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Just $25 a month, saving the average family over $1,000 a year. It's time to switch to my favorite wireless company, Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin and save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, puretalk.com/LEVIN. Make the switch today. Pure Talk, wireless worth bragging about. There is a site, Give, Send, Go, that was set up to raise money for the Kirk family. Their goal is to raise $5 million, so they have money, Erica and the kids, to take care of everything for years to come. They've raised about $3.5 million. I know you Levinites have huge hearts. Whenever I've asked you to help for a cause, you have jumped in with both feet. Can you help me get this number to $5 million? Let's see how far we can push this. Any little bit will help. So I want to encourage you to go to this site. It's on all my social sites. You can go to Twitter. It's there. givesandgo.com, in loving memory of Charlie Kirk's family. And all we want to do is support Charlie Kirk's family. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your background is. I really don't. I don't care what your politics is. Here you happen to be constitutional conservatives, Levinites. You're patriots. If not us, who? If not now, when? This man gave his life for this country. He didn't expect to have to do this. He was assassinated. I really feel this is the least we can do. So please, you can check out the link on my social sites. Just give what you can. The goal is $5 million. They got a little less than $3.5. I know that's a lot of money, but over a period of time, Erica Kirk and so forth, they can use our help. This family is in extremis. They're in extremis. We also need to demonstrate that an assassin cannot destroy this entire family. We're not going to allow it. You and I, we are not going to allow this. So I want to encourage you to go there and give what you can. And during the break, I will do exactly the same thing. What is it, Rich? Oh, not enough time. Well, we will catch up on the other side of the clock. Again, during the break, see if you can go over there and give as much as possible. Let's get this up to the $5 million. That's the goal. And we'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Welcome back, America, the final hour of the program in the week. By the way, additional information now that the shooter had considered or wanted to commit suicide. We have our friend Dr. Siegel with us, and he's a good man. Dr. Siegel, you know, I'm more and more convinced that the internet really is in many ways so evil. I don't mean for people who have their heads screwed on, okay? I mean for people who don't, and people who may be just naive as hell, and they go into these private boards, or considered like rooms, and they influence each other, and they get each other psyched up, and suddenly their reality is the reality, and this, I just feel there's no intervention, no adult intervention, no moral intervention, and then you have these politicians coming over the top with the language about Hitler and dictatorships, and of course you'll do anything to kill Hitler. And I think this isn't exclusively the problem, but I think this is becoming a big problem. What do you think?
I thought you said it beautifully on TV today, exactly this, that people are reverberating with their own ideas. It's kind of like we call it a faux deux in psychiatry. It's a psychosis that feeds off of another person's psychosis, and if you hear another person believing it, then you believe it even more. And it's all based on hate, but it's also based on lack of information. That's why I'm calling it psychosis. You've talked about this extensively regarding Israel. People that don't know that Palestinians came from Jordan and that they're cheering in the streets when Hamas attacks on October 7th. If you leave out certain facts, you can come to conclusions that are hate-filled, self-referring, and emotion-driven, and then it's just a soft step away from that to violence. I was reading something in The Nation magazine today, which is as far left as it gets, but that's not what bothers me. What bothers me is that they call out Charlie Kirk as an unrepentant transphobe, homophobe, misogynist who often wrapped his bigotry in Bible verses. In reality, he loved the Bible, didn't wrap anything in anything, and is the exact opposite of what they're actually saying. A person of love, who you personally loved, Mark, and a lot of people loved, and he was about coming together of people, the exact opposite. So their kind of verbiage resounds across the left, across social media, gets picked up, referred to, repeated, and generates more hate and more violence.
And this is what I'm worried about, because anybody who knew this young man, anybody who knew him said it happened quickly. He was a straight A student, kind of nerdy, but did little sports here and there. And then he was not really involved in political talk. Then he got involved in political talk and was increasingly radicalized. And now he assassinated somebody, Charlie Kirk. And I'm thinking, they say, did anybody look at social media? My question is, we don't have enough people to look at all the social media, to go into these private rooms, to do all these things. What exactly are they talking about? Did anybody look at social media? I mean, who has the right and who is going to just look at social media? We have a big conundrum here, Doctor. I'm not sure how we deal with this, but I think it's not the only issue, but I think this is a big problem.
I think social media is a very, very unhealthy part of our society right now. It feeds bullyism. It feeds mocking people. It feeds inhumanity, dehumanization.
Racism, bigotry, anti-Americanism.
Exactly. And dehumanization is really the term that comes out of this whole thing, because Charlie was a real human being. And you've pointed out he's a self-taught genius, which we should be proud of in this country. That's what America is about. My grandfather had an 8th grade education but learned 6 languages. Charlie was out there preaching. He was a preacher. He was teaching love. He was teaching acceptance. And yet he gets attacked even now after death, repeatedly attacked. I mean, of course, AOC out there, campaigning for gun violence. It takes you to say 5 minutes ago that going against gun violence. It took you 5 minutes ago to point out something that doesn't surprise me, that the shooter had mental health issues. How can he not have mental health issues? Why don't we look at that first? Why would the left politicize this from the word go without actually looking at what it would take for someone to do something like this?
Doctor, the other thing is, if he wanted to kill Charlie, get in a car and run him down. I mean, the other thing I said, I don't like saying this, particularly given the position I'm in, but I don't like saying it. If somebody's really hell-bent on killing somebody, it's hard to stop them. It's hard to stop them if they don't have Secret Service all over the place and everything else. And that's why when people were saying, well, why didn't the college have somebody? It's a college, for God's sakes. And so there's certain things you can do, don't get me wrong, to at least to try and limit the possibilities or at least to deter somebody. But if it wasn't a gun, maybe it'd be a knife, like that poor girl on the train. If it wasn't a knife, maybe it'd be a car, like those poor people in New Orleans. And I could go on and on. If it wasn't that, maybe it would be fertilizer, like those poor people at the federal building in Oklahoma. There's not easy answers to this, like gun control. The problem to me is I fear we have a breeding ground here. And this is just one of my concerns that I'm focused on because I have you and you're kind of an expert on all this kind of stuff. We have a breeding ground here, and people after the fact say, well, who looked and who looked? No, we have people being pulled into this. He spent hours and hours behind a computer and hours talking, apparently, to people who reinforce these ideas. And as you're pointing out, the reality isn't the reality. They don't have all the facts. I just don't know how we fix this. Doctor.
I have some ideas, and I'll start with something you just said brilliantly, which I was going to bring up too, which is that poor Ukrainian woman was knifed to death in a subway car. So naturally, the Democrats don't bring that up at all because it's a knife, not a gun. They don't care about knives. They only care about guns, and they don't care about cars running people down. And your point is that you can find a way to do it anyway, regardless of what you restrict. We have to look at the mental health crisis in this country where, 60% of teen girls are seriously depressed with suicidal thoughts now because of social media, because the reverberations of social media. But it's more than social media. It's the politicization of everything. It's the lack of love. Charlie gets murdered brutally in front of his family, and how come people aren't reaching out in sadness and love and regret? What did I say that maybe fueled this, AOC? What did you say that maybe fueled this? Not to point her out. I'm not picking on her specifically.
No, I get it.
But what did people say that maybe fueled the rage and the anger? A lot of it, as you've said, falsely directed towards the president. The president's trying to do a decent job. He's working night and day, and people can never give him credit for anything on a certain political spectrum. And that's wrong.
Well, I want to thank you for everything you do, Doctor. And
Mark, I think the healing here comes from acceptance. I think it comes from saying that, look, maybe I don't agree with you, but what can I learn from you? We have a lot to learn from President Trump right now. And yet they're mocking that he's talking about renovations. He's been so sad over the loss of his friend Charlie, and yet people are still attacking him. I think that we can learn acceptance and kindness in the face of some horrible tragedy. But as a country, we're not learning that. And that's why you said today, we may be going to a worse place.
I'm worried that we are going to a worse place. And I'll tell you what, I believe the vast majority of the American people are good people. I don't believe they want anything to do with this stuff. And it doesn't take the vast majority of the American people to be dragged into this. But I feel like we're getting dragged into it, and there's certain things that are kind of out of our control. We better figure out, and you've got some great ideas on what to do about it, Doctor. And Mr. Producer, we ought to have you on at least once a month. Can you put that in your tickler and remind me, please? Okay. All right. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you very much, Mark. Great to be on with you.
All right. You take care of yourself. He's really good. He's really smart. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Okay, folks, we're in a Levin surge. In fact, I'll call this surge for Charlie Kirk's family. I have posted a link to Give, Send, Go. Give, Send, Go to provide support for Charlie Kirk's family. He's got a widow and 2 little babies. And while people are focused on this, we really need to do everything we can. We got to, look, this poor guy gave his life for the country. Just give as much as you're comfortable giving to help the family out. Now, the link is on all my social sites, but you can also, I'll give it to you verbally here. It's Gives and Go. It's Give Send Go. GIVE Send Go, just like it sounds, .com/ in loving memory of Charlie. I really want us to help this family. I feel like we're blessed to do this, that this is what you and I can do now, in the moment. This is what we can do. I know you're upset. Let's at least turn some of that into positive energy, and provide, what support we can. The goal is to get to the $5 million mark. This isn't money they're going to stick in their pocket and run with it. It's all going to be taxed and everything else, and we just can't rely on other people. We can't rely on others. We need to take care of our own. He was a devoted husband and father and friend. And the amount of time and effort that he put into what he did is incalculable. And I don't need to convince you, other than to tell you where it is. All my social sites, such as Twitter or X, the link is right there. If you're not near a device with a link, you can write it down. Give, Send, Go. GiveSendGo.com / in loving memory of Charlie. In loving memory of Charlie. And we want to try and get this to the goal. And I don't care again. It doesn't matter to me. A lot of this infighting is disputes and debates that go on and will continue to go on, but they need to go on with a different mentality. They really do. We've got to cut out the anti-Semitism. We've got to cut out all this stuff. That's not who we are. That's not who you are, I know, in the audience, but we've got to cut it out. We've got to put an end to this. They almost took out our president twice, and they took out Charlie Kirk. Unimaginable. Absolutely unimaginable. And so this is a way we have, from a positive perspective now, to help. I really want us to help. I mean, there'll be football tomorrow, football Sunday. Maybe you'll be with your families and so forth. But let's do this. All right, here is Erica Kirk.
Good evening. My name is Erica Kirk. Charlie Kirk is my husband. I first want to thank the local, state, and federal law enforcement who worked tirelessly to capture my husband's assassin so that he can be brought to justice. I want to thank the first responders who struggled heroically to save Charles's life, and the police who acted bravely to make sure that there were no other victims on that terrible afternoon. I want to thank the officers who have protected our Turning Point USA family these past 2 days. And I want to thank the Turning Point USA board, the COO, Justin Strife, and my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy, for all their work in these terrible days to be the stability for our family and for the wider Turning Point USA family as well. My heart is with every one of my husband's employees who lost a friend and a mentor. I want to thank the staffers of his amazing Charlie Kirk show, who helped him broadcast from this studio, this chair. Every day he loved it. He loved what he did. I want to thank the millions of people who have shown their love for Charlie here in Phoenix, across America, and worldwide. I want to thank my husband's dear friend, Vice President Vance, and his phenomenal wife, Usha, for their love and support. You guys honored my husband so well, bringing him home. You both are tremendous. I want to thank President Trump and his incredible family for the same. Mr. President, my husband loved you. And he knew that you loved him too. He did. Your friendship was amazing. You supported him so well, as did he for you. 2 days ago, my husband, Charlie, went to see the face of his Savior and his God. Charlie always said that when he was gone, he wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith. And one of the final conversations that he had on this earth, my husband witnessed for his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now and for all eternity, he will stand at his Savior's side, wearing the glorious crown of a martyr. Charlie loved life. He loved his life. He loved America. He loved nature, which helped him always bring him closer to God.
Okay. What we're going to do is record this as she's speaking. As soon as we come right back, we'll play the rest of this. It's way too important not to. She's a lovely, brave woman. We'll be right back.
He loved the Chicago Cubs.
Erica Kirk.
And my goodness, did he love the Oregon Ducks. Want me to say go Ducks, so I have to since they play on Saturday. So go Ducks. But most of all, Charlie loved his children. And he loved me with all of his heart. And I knew that. Every day I knew that. He made sure I knew that every day. Every day he would ask me, how can I serve you better? How can I be a better husband? How can I be a better father? Every day. Every day. He's such a good man. He still is a good man. He was the perfect father. He was the perfect husband. Charlie always believed that God's design for marriage and the family was absolutely amazing, and it is. It is, and it was the greatest joy of his life. And over, he would tell all these young people to come and find their future spouse, become wives and husbands and parents. And the reason why is because he wanted you all to experience what he had and still has. He wanted everyone to bring heaven into this earth through love and joy that comes from raising a family. It's beautiful. Charlie always said that if he ever ran for office, I know a lot of you asked if he ever was going to, but privately he told me if he ever did run for office that his top priority would be to revive the American family. That was his priority. One of Charlie's favorite Bible verses was Ephesians 5, verse 25. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. My husband laid down his life for me, for our nation, for our children. He showed the ultimate and true covenantal love. I will never, ever have the words to describe the loss that I feel in my heart. I honestly have no idea what any of this means. I know that God does, but I don't. But Charlie, baby, I know you do too. I know you do. So does our Lord. And our world is filled with evil. But our God, you guys, our God is so good. He's so incredibly good. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Already I have seen the worldwide outpouring of love for my husband. I've heard the testimonies from people my husband inspired to get married, to start families, to seek out a relationship with God. It's the most important one of all. The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country. In this world, you have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. All of us will refuse to let that happen. No one will ever forget my husband's name, and I will make sure of it. It will become stronger, bolder, louder, and greater than ever. My husband's mission will not end, not even for a moment. And one of Charlie's greatest talents was his ability, this phenomenal ability to choose great people to follow him. He could always find the ones who could handle any setback. And it's almost like he knew. He could see it in you. Even when you couldn't see it in yourself, he just knew. He knew you could handle it. You thought you only had 5% left, and he knew you had 15. He knew you were ready to go that extra mile even when you didn't. He always challenged people around him to work harder and to be better. He never gave up. And I love knowing that one of his mottos was never surrender. So I want to tell you that we'll never surrender. We never will. Ever. Ever. Our campus tour this fall will continue. There will be even more tours in the years to come. America Fest here in Phoenix this December will go on. It will be greater than ever. The radio and podcast show that he was so proud of will go on. And in a world filled with chaos, doubt, and uncertainty, my husband's voice will remain. And it will ring out louder and more clearly than ever. And his wisdom will endure. my favorite too, but my husband's favorite word in the English language was earn. He would call all of you to be people of action who earn the future America deserves. So to all of the young people who felt inspired by my husband's faith and hard work, all of you already know what Charlie would want you to do. You know. You know. If you're in high school or if you're in college, go find your local Turning Point USA chapter. Join it. Stay involved. He wants you to make a difference. And you can. You can. The movement's not going anywhere, and it will only grow stronger when you join it. If there isn't a chapter, you can't find one, then start one. There is no excuse. You can start one. And as my husband used to say in this room, every single day, if you want to get involved, the best way you can do that is going to tpusa.com. That's what he would say every day from this chair. Every single day. I watched his show every day, and he would always say, if you want to get involved, go to tpusa.com. If you're a pastor, join our movement at TPUSA Faith. And if you're a parent, I highly recommend that you come to America Fest in December. Sign up right now for that because we would love to see you. I would love to see you. Charlie would. He'll be there. He'll be there in spirit. Bring your kids, bring your family. But most important of all, if you aren't a member of a church, I beg you to join one. A Bible-believing church. Our battle is not simply a political one. Above all, it is spiritual. It is spiritual. The spiritual warfare is palpable. Charlie loved his Savior with all of his heart, and he wanted every one of you to know him too. He wanted everyone to know that if they confess the Lord Jesus Christ who rose from the dead, then they will be saved. Hear me when I say this, nobody is ever too young to know the gospel. Nobody. Nobody is ever too young to get involved with saving this beautiful country. This country my husband loved and still loves. And nobody is ever too old either. There's no age limit. I know my husband is still here. He's watching over us. I don't remember the last time I slept. I couldn't sleep last night. And was saving this beautiful country, this country my husband loved and still loves. And nobody is ever too old either. There's no age limit. I know my husband is still here. He's watching over us. I don't remember the last time I slept. I couldn't sleep last night. And Charlie, baby. Charlie, I promise I will never let your legacy die, baby. I won't. I promise I'll make Turning Point USA the biggest thing that this nation has ever seen. I promise. Charlie, I love you. I love you, baby. Rest in the arms of our Lord as he blankets you with the words I know your heart always strived to hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant. When I got home last night, Gigi, our daughter, just ran into my arms. And I talked to her and she said, Mommy, I missed you. I said, I missed you too, baby. She goes, where's Daddy? What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus, so he can afford your blueberry budget. And my goodness, am I so humbled to witness, Charlie, you alongside Jesus right now, doing what you always want to do, baby. Making heaven crowded, right? That's what it's all about. Making heaven crowded. I can't wait to see you again one day. Thank you all again who love my husband, who supported him, who wrote him an email every single day during his radio show. He read all of them. All of them.
Who did?
God bless you all. And may God bless America.
Very, very touching. Very, very. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. We'll take a short break before we end the program. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the week has come to an end. In most ways, a horrible week, quite frankly. I think for most of us, most of the country. And I want you to keep something in mind. We will be together. We, you and I. In the nation's town hall meeting every evening. We're not going anywhere. There are things I do have to do over the course of time a little bit, but it's not because there's anything wrong in any respect, anything of that sort. I do have a very serious illness in the family, things of that sort. But in any event, I want you to keep your chin up. Yes, we will get through this. You heard the strength of his wife, Erica. She said, we're going to build that TU, that Turning Point USA program bigger and stronger than ever. And we will do everything we can to help them. I do want to remind you, there's an ongoing effort to raise funds for the family at GiveSendGo, givesendgo.com/in loving memory of Charlie. Very simple. GiveSendGo, one word, .com/in loving memory of Charlie. Probably easier to go on the internet. Oh, yes, the internet. And go to my social sites. I don't know, Mr. Producer. We have the capacity over the weekend to put it up on the website, this link, or not really? Can we put it up tonight or no? So we will also put it up on marklevinshow.com, marklevinshow.com. So if you go to my website, you go to any of my social sites, please click the link and give as much as you can. And you know what? You're going to feel great about it. You're going to feel great about it. You know, when a family friend passes away, my wife immediately donates to a forest in Israel and donates, in the memory of the person passing, a number of trees in the Holy Land. She feels there's a connection with God that way for the person who's passed away. Whether it be Jew, Gentile, doesn't matter. And she gives that certificate when it comes to the family. And for each and every one, they have felt wonderful about it. This is a family that's going to be in need in so many ways. And as Erica said, what do I tell my 3-year-old when she said, where's Daddy? Last night, where's Daddy? Can you imagine? Charlie Kirk didn't die in a horrible accident. He was murdered. And I know how you feel. I'm getting people texting me, some I haven't heard from in a long time. Everybody feels a gut punch. But before too much time moves on, it's important during this time, when you feel the way you feel in the moment, to do what you can. And I know you will, because this audience is filled with loving, compassionate patriots. And Charlie is a remarkable human being. Now, Saturday, tomorrow night, on Life, Liberty, and Levin, it'll be Charlie and me from 2020. No guests except Charlie. And I did this purposely. I could have had a bunch of guests, but I wanted you to hear from Charlie. I want people to understand what a brilliant, focused, yet compassionate, decent human being he was. From Charlie. And then on Sunday, we'll have Katie Pavlich, who knew him long ago, longer than most. And we'll also have Zuhdi Jasser, because I haven't forgotten 9/11. And Qatar, well, Qatar's being treated like it's just another ally. It's not. It's not. And there are families who suffered during 9/11 who are still suffering today, the memory of the assassination of their family members. Love you all. Blessed by you all. God bless you all. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine, the men and women in Israel, and you. Each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Good night, Dad. Good night, Mom. And good night, America. See you tomorrow.